This talk is just going to be about pure financial agents and what agents can do in the financial markets. Personally, I found the previous panel a bit on the high-level side. I think there's a lot more interesting things that agents can do in Web3 besides speculation, besides meme coins, and besides content creation. This is what we will go into today. We'll start with quite a blunt, quite a blunt acknowledgement that today's financial markets, especially in Web3, has exceeded what humans can do. The DeFi platforms that we use, the markets that we indulge in, they require 24/7 monitoring. They require, quite diligent processes, understanding quite complex metrics, and we are facing levels of fragmentation that we never faced before. With this in mind, I want to go over this meme, which you probably all seen in Web3 at one point, where it kind of symbolizes and tries to explain the complexity of DeFi and Web3, and goes into like, okay, if I have to decide between depositing into Aave or etc., what do I do? And this guy is sweating his ass off every time he tries to make a decision. Like, I feel like this meme has been quite outdated, because since this meme came to life, we have actually evolved DeFi. We have sophisticated DeFi into a level where it became much more complex than it was 5 years ago. We have more sophisticated protocols like, the Pendles and the Morphos of the world. But at the same time, we have failed to reduce complexity as we become more and more sophisticated. We have actually failed what Web 2 succeeded in an amazing way. Web 2 products are, scrutinized, and we all hate centralization, and we all love to, badmouth, privacy concerns and data extortion. Yet everybody in this room still uses Twitter. Everybody in this room still uses Instagram, because they were able to do something quite drastic when they build more and more complex products. They were able to bring down the level of complexity to a level where it didn't hurt the user. So as they built more and more complex products, they built better and better user experiences. While in Web3, we kind of went the opposite way. We built complex products and we made it more complex for the users to kind of engage with them. And in the end, we have came to a point where only a few selected people can use DeFi. And in the end, the decision making has become much, much more stranger and much more tension filled than what we have now. So to me, this meme doesn't reflect what DeFi is today, but this meme does. You have countless protocols, many chains, crazy amount of opportunities to follow, trying to understand what utilization ratio is, collateralization ratio is, APR, APY, all of those things. And in the meantime, you are trying to make a financial decision that is going to impact your wealth. So this amount of tension being put on a user is inhumane. And I think the main friction point that we have in DeFi is this gap between what is the potential of DeFi to amount of people that can use DeFi. So in its birth, DeFi was this ideological movement where it promised finance for everybody. Everybody could use DeFi, and everybody should, get some kind of financial instrument. Somehow along the way, we lost that ideology totally, and now only a handful of users who can conduct DeFi can use it. So, and Web3 is, essentially built on ideology. And DeFi is the biggest product market fit of Web3, and somehow we lost this essence in the meantime. What we want to do is bring it back. And there are certain solutions out there right now that tries to solve this problem. To me, they offer nothing more than a band-aid. One of them is Vaults, which has been around for some time, and they have been quite a big financial innovation in terms of capital efficiency, but they lack certain things that we demand in 2025. They are built on predefined, loop-based strategies, and they don't offer dynamic decision frameworks, which is essential for financial operations. They don't provide the best risk structure because you kind of put all of your eggs in one basket and expose yourself to like honeypot schemes and everything else in between. They don't have any kind of personalization, which is crazy that we don't have personalization in DeFi, because in traditional finance, even when you go to the bank and get the most simplest instrument, which is a loan, you get some kind of personalization. So Waltz was great, but not so much anymore. Then we have this other solution that is coming up recently, and the previous panel also talked about it a little bit, which are these chat interfaces for financial operations, these LLM wrappers for financial operations. I feel quite strongly about this part, so it's going to be a bit of a rant. But I don't understand why this UX is enforced on crypto to start with. Who here in the past decade took their phone and sent a text to their bank and typed, I want $2,000 moved out from my savings account to pay my mortgage, and 50% of that should be going to my interest rate, well, all of those things. Who did this? No one did it, and I don't know why we need it in crypto, because first of all, it's not safe. There can be a lot of things that can go wrong while typing out financial operations, and there are much more intuitive ways to do these things. The second part in all of this is that for the past 2-3 years, every event that I go to, in the intersection of AI and crypto, there's always this very popular narrative that everybody likes to build on, which is centralized AI is bad, Sam Altman is evil, OpenAI cannot rule the world, and decentralized AI is what we should go for. I don't have anything against this. I'm perfectly fine with it. But at the same time, I find it quite caricature that people who has this methodology are the same people who wants to build a ChatGPT for crypto, which is like has no defensibility at all, and it is one OpenAI event away from being completely irrelevant. So this is the second part, moving my personal biases around. These interfaces, they operate on what I like to call an instructions to execution model. So they still require each user to know exactly what they want to do and how they want to do it. And they focus on automating these predefined processes. So if we go back to our previous point about DeFi only being able to use by this nuanced amount of people that knows how to operate it, you are still serving the same people. You are still serving the same people who knows exactly what to do in DeFi. You're not expanding your market. You're not reaching out to new users. You're just facilitating the current ones, and you're not actually abstracting complexity, but you're just moving it from one side to the other. So this falls quite short in my end. So I talked a lot about like the current offers, and what we want to do, what we want to enable is, take it from here, we went to here, then we talked about solutions and this one, and this is what we want to bring to life with Giza agents. Complete abstraction of financial operations, complete abstraction of technical knowledge, and complete automation in a non-custodial manner. And we have built an application layer and an infrastructure layer for this. And for the application layer, we really wanted to build the first financial autonomous agent in Web3 ourselves for a couple of reasons, which we'll get into later. But we have built an agent called Arma, and Arma does 24/7 automated stablecoin yield optimization for its users. So the user no longer has to go to Morpho or Aave or have to know about Morpho or Aave or Base even. They can just fund Arma, and Arma will autonomously find the best path for them, identify strategies, and execute strategies on their behalf. So we are going towards a new paradigm where you're able to get your own personalized treasury manager. And we have launched Arma a few weeks ago, and these are some numbers. We have over 14,000 agents deployed. Let me double click on this number. Every single person, when they go to arma.xyz, they get their own specific agents. So everybody gets their agent. I feel like I'm Oprah in the States. Like, you get an agent, you get an agent. But everybody gets their own agent. This is important because we're able to do a lot with this individual execution layer. What we were able to build is very much a generalized product that does stablecoin yield optimization in a personal manner. So when you go there and when you fund Arma with 20K, and I have my $500 there, the strategies that it will identify and execute for you are very much different than the strategies it will identify and execute for myself. So it will never take your 20K to a pool that has a depth of 100K, because it will completely collapse the market and it will not be a profitable path for you. But it might take mine, because my $500 will not probably impact the market that much. And this level of personalization and customization is something that we are leaning into quite a lot. We offer, as I mentioned, non-custodial automation. So when you go to Arma, there's a primitive called smart account being created in the backend, and this smart account allows you to delegate the control of certain amount of funds that you dictate to the agent, but you have the control of those funds. We don't have access to the private keys. The agent doesn't have access to the private keys. You get to dictate how much you want the agent to control, and you have control of it over time, and you can pause it at any moment. The other primitive that we use is a primitive called session keys, which is basically allowing us to build cryptographic guardrails that the agent cannot operate outside of. So within the case of Arma, we have a few whitelisted partner protocols like Aave, Morpho, Compound, all these people, and the agent can only interact with them. The agent can only swap from USDC to USDT. The agent can only interact with XYZ smart contracts. And all of these things can be built at an individual level. So it will allow for further personalization to be built. So for example, we are onboarding institutions who wants to use financial agents for their treasury management. What we were able to offer them is them to say, I want my agent to only operate with protocols that has a TVL above 500 million. Or my slippage tolerance is 0.1%, and I don't want any execution happening above it. All of these things are very much real and very much happening as we talk about it right now. Arma is currently managing close to 700,000 in stablecoins on Base. We launched it on Base 2 weeks ago, and in 2 weeks it went from 0 to 700, and it's managing all kinds of capital. There are people who are using it with 150K, there are people that are using it 50K, and there are a bunch of people who wants to try something new using it with $200 and $50 and so on. Arma has executed 27,000 transactions that required 0 prompts, 0 inputs, 0 chat interfaces from anybody, and 100% of these transactions are profitable, because Arma only executes when a path is deemed profitable from a cost perspective and profitability perspective. So this is where we go back to like the nuances of DeFi. Arma first forecasts the profitability of a given strategy by understanding the APR of a pool, the ecosystem rewards and the protocol rewards that are going to be distributed there. And then it combines this forecast with the cost part that is including everything that makes DeFi DeFi. Gas cost, slippage, protocol, TVL, pool depth, market impact, all of those things. And only once they are justified, it executes. And it has executed 27,000 times. And most of these happened when people are sleeping. To me, this is like the step towards automation. To me, this is where the future of finance becomes much easier for everyone. And for people, most importantly, it's just better. It's just better than a human putting their money into a pool for 4 months and just leaving it there. This number is from a backtesting that we did that takes into account a static position in the Base ecosystem that puts their money in an X vault and leaves it there for 4 months, and compares that performance to an agent that manages the same amount of capital but leverages every single opportunity that pops up in the ecosystem, because that's how Arma and Giza agents work. Whenever it identifies a better opportunity, it executes. And this continuous capital optimization gets you, on average, 80 times more yield, 80% 80% more yield. Cool. Giza agents are user-centric and intent-driven. What does user-centric mean? User-centric means that now we are entering a new era of interactions between users and protocols. The protocols are going to very much become the backend, similar to smart contracts, and no one is going to go to a protocol interface anytime soon. Giza agents enable this, and the protocols in return, they need to start optimizing not for humans, but for agents. They need to make integrations much easier. They need to have competitive APR, competitive offerings for agents to choose themselves. Because this number, Arma brought almost 700,000 in 2 weeks to Morpho and Seamless out of nowhere. And in order to get this kind of capital, the protocols needs to also upskill themselves to this new financial world where automation is the main power. Then we have the intent-driven part. So unlike the chat interfaces that we have seen, we were talking about in the previous part, Giza agents, they operate on an intent to outcome model. So we don't need step-by-step understanding of each step you want to take. We don't need our users to know protocols, chains, tokens, executions, and signatures. We just need a high-level desire, such as I want better yield. And with that, the agent, using his intelligence, will find the best paths for you and will execute for you. This allows for many things to happen. We remove the burden of technical knowledge completely. So going back to the amount of people and the type of people that DeFi is able to serve and how to expand that, we serve people that doesn't need to understand DeFi and its nuances. We can serve people who doesn't care about DeFi and its nuances. We can serve people who don't care about Web3, but they just want better return on their capital. And this is how you onboard next billion users to Web3. You don't onboard next billion users to Web3 by building the same complex products over and over again and just slapping with a different logo on it. You need to offer something much more simpler that can be competitive with Web2 products. We are at the top of the funnel. We serve everyone entering their DeFi journey for the first time, and you're very much getting your personalized treasury manager that operates for you and for your behalf. We talked about ideology, and we talked about how DeFi is losing its ideology. Giza Agents wants to bring that back. We want to democratize finance once again. We want to make DeFi accessible to every single person once again. You can think of it as like the GPS. Before the GPS was there, every single person that needed to go from A to B, they needed to have this expertise of reading a map, reading a compass, looking at the stars and understanding where to go. But once GPS was commercialized, navigation was democratized and everybody could go anywhere they wanted. And this is what Giza Agents does for DeFi. You can have anybody doing anything on DeFi and you don't have to worry about reading the map or understanding the compass. We offer personalization and customization, as I mentioned. You can build an agent that does things your way, and your taste of investment is going to be your layer of execution. And this brings a sophisticated part of like diversity in the market that brings market efficiency that we currently do not have in DeFi. Everything kind of like moves one way or the other. And we can bring market diversity while reducing the friction that the users have and while reducing the friction of user acquisition. And I think that's quite key on expanding, you know, who we serve. Last but not least, we built Arma ourselves as the first application because we really wanted to understand what it takes to build a financial instrument that can automate complex DeFi strategies. What is the blueprint to build something like this? Why do people still think it's impossible? And going through months and months of work and understanding and building this, it allowed us to fine-tune the whole architecture, and now every other use case is just one click away, whether that's like leverage, deleverage, LRTs, arbitrage, delta neutral markets, anything you can think of, we can build it. Besides us building it, we want other people to build it. We want other people to build financial products like Arma. We want other people to build financial businesses on top of Arma that is based on top of Giza, that is based on automation and intelligence. And this is what the Giza protocol allows. And I'm quite excited for the conversation on the agents and DeFi to go from the speculative part to more, utility parts that is about making DeFi, again, democratized and accessible to everyone once again. You can follow us on Gizatech XYZ. You can add me on Telegram. Come and speak to me. I'll be around. I actually have another talk on the other side at 2. If you have any questions, if you have anything to talk about, I'm around. Thank you, Dennis.